So being aware of the problem is one thing, but what can we do about it? How can we keep ourselves safe? How can we stop someone from stealing our identity and hacking our entire life? Well, my next guest has been to DEF CON and is an expert in cybersecurity. Troy Hunt, welcome to Bernardi. Now, during your time at DEF CON, what was the craziest encounter you had with data manipulation or hacking?
Look, DEF CON has a whole bunch of what they call villages, where there are different areas where there's different types of hacking. There'll be like a lock-picking village, like proper normal traditional lock picks. There'll be villages around things like social engineering. So how can you talk to someone over the phone and get information out of them? I think the craziest one I saw was probably when you get to things like airplane hacking, and they literally have computer systems from airplanes in there, and there are people pulling them apart. Because that's the sort of thing where you go, maybe I don't want to be on that plane, like if they were doing it for real.
Yeah, it's just incredible. And are people going there to demonstrate their skills, to educate others about the risks, or actually learn the techniques that can do damage to others and maybe enrich themselves?
Look, the huge majority of people are there to do good. And as you mentioned earlier on, it's everything from people protecting systems through to government agencies. Inevitably, there's going to be a proportion of people that are going to use it for evil things. But by and large, most people are there to do very positive things and try and find weaknesses in systems so that they can make them better so that bad people can't do bad things.
Yeah, and in actual fact, when they identify failings in systems, there are often rewards from big companies that provide them with cash and other benefits in order for providing cybersecurity services off the grid.
Yeah, so we have the concept of bug bounties. I mean, Tesla is a great example of this. A Tesla is a very, very connected car with a lot of computer systems in it. If you can find some sort of a serious vulnerability with Tesla, Elon will give you some money, which would be really nice because you get to actually report this thing via a responsible published mechanism, and you get rewarded for the exercise as well.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm a bit concerned about what I've discovered, and it's only recent news for me, but how hard is it to do what some of these hackers are capable of? Are we all at risk of our data being breached by individuals like this?
Well, to an extent, but all the sort of things that we've been talking about for many, many years hold true if you're using a modern operating system. So we're using an iPhone or a modern Windows PC, and we keep our things patched, and we don't follow suspicious links which ask you to install things, and we use strong passwords that are unique. All of these practices are the things that keep us safe. And it's usually when we neglect one or more of those areas that things go wrong.
Yeah, well, we don't actually have to go as far as DEF CON, though, which is in the States, to determine how our data could be manipulated, because ASIO, I've seen, are now recruiting spies of their own to help protect Australia and Australians from threats to their security. It's all part of their Why I Spy campaign, which is a great term, and the new generation of ASIO spies will govern Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and so on. Troy, I think this is good news to see, and I hope you agree with me, but is there more to this? Is this like just the skating across the surface of what the problems are?
I think it's absolutely good news. I mean, we know that cybersecurity has become a massive part of offensive capabilities for governments and equally defensive capabilities. And, we used to think of warfare as being a very kinetic thing. There'd be soldiers and bombs and planes and things like that. But increasingly these days, it is digital because we have so many things that are connected online, whether they be military systems or critical infrastructure. And our government, just like many other governments, is recognising the importance of having very skilled, capable people there. So I agree. I think that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, Troy, when we think of ASIO, we think of spies, but ASIO are now calling on ordinary people to help get the job done. Have a look at this outtake.
I grew up overseas under communist rule. My family escaped and we ended up in Australia. We were safe, but it wasn't easy. I wanted to be a writer, but chose physiotherapy as a more sensible career path. And at one time, I would never have applied for a job in ASIO. Security services do not have a great reputation in communist countries. But the more I thought about it, the more I figured my background and experiences made me a good fit.
On this, can just anyone do the job of cybersecurity or cyber surveillance for ASIO?
I think in a case like ASIO, inevitably there's a really broad range of skills that are useful, and some of those inevitably are going to be very technical, programming-like skills. Others are going to be very social skills or commercial skills or PR-style skills. So I would imagine ASIO's case that they're looking for a very broad range of people. And again, I think it's good that they're going out and they're trying to recruit people, particularly for defensive purposes.
Yeah, I read an email from one of the ministers today to a constituent in which he said there was a potential cyber breach or a test of our systems every 8 minutes, which is scary enough. But it also alerted me to the fact that businesses are now facing tougher standards for the handling of personal information. I guess that's to help manage cybersecurity risks. What do you think needs to change in this space to keep us safe or for businesses to keep our data safe?
Well, firstly, I think 8 minutes is probably a little bit conservative, and anyone who's ever stood up a website or anything else facing the internet will know how quickly it is before people start targeting you, let alone if you're a government asset. Look, I think what's required in this space is we certainly need more capability. We know this is an industry which is dramatically under-resourced, particularly in government sectors who don't offer the same incentives as a lot of the private sectors do. And I think for people like myself, for other people in the industry, it's an enormously good opportunity. And hopefully also the attraction of working in this part of the sector, and particularly doing some of the things we get to do, is going to be attractive to other people. We need more good people right across the board.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. And it is an industry. I mean, the economic impact of cybercrime I read today was something like $3.5 billion, including $1.9 billion lost by Australian victims to the scams that seem to hit our inboxes almost every single day. So it is a very lucrative career for someone who potentially wants to fight this and provide security for all Australians, isn't it?
Well, there must be a lot of demand. I mean, I must get one of those scam calls every single day where it's the ATO or it's Microsoft or it's my broadband provider. And guess what? Someone's trying to take over my account, but if I just provide them my bank details, they'll fix it for me. So this is happening all the time, and it really doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. So clearly, we do need to keep doing more to try and defend against these attacks. Yeah.
Troy, the last word goes to you. In a digital world, can we ever really, truly secure our data?
So everything's degrees. We can certainly get to a point where we can be highly confident that it is very unlikely people will get our data. And I know that is not an absolute position, but nothing in this industry is. So get a good password manager, strong, unique passwords, patch your things, do all the things that everyone in the industry keeps talking about, and you're going to be in the best possible position.
Well, the only thing certain in life, they say, are death and taxes. So we can't be too miffed about that. Thanks so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate your expertise on Bernardi.